I remember the exact moment my vows shattered. It happened in a dimly lit fitness studio, the scent of sweat and citrus cleaner heavy in the air. Chase stood behind me with his hands hovering too close, guiding my movements, his breath warm against my neck. I felt my body leaning into a temptation I knew could burn my entire world to ashes. And when I finally gave in, when I let the heat between us swallow my judgment, I saw the reflection of my own betrayal in the dark studio mirror. I watched the woman I promised I would never become. That was the night I broke my vows, and I had no idea that Daniel, my husband, would soon look at me with eyes that no longer held safety, but heartbreak. Before I go deeper, I want to appreciate every wonderful soul watching right now. Thank you for subscribing, and thank you to all new and returning viewers who are yet to subscribe. I am grateful that you are here, and I cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button because it truly serves as the fuel and energy that keeps this channel going strong. Please do not forget to engage and share your thoughts in the comments. Now, let us begin. My name is Emily Walker, a 35-year-old American woman living in the quiet suburbs of Charlotte, North Carolina. I grew up with traditional values, a strong belief in loyalty, and what I thought was an unshakable moral compass. My husband, Daniel Walker, is the kind of man people pray for. Loyal, gentle, patient, and deeply in love with me since the first day he saw me. He is an engineer, always calm, always steady, always putting family first. Chase Donovan is the storm I never saw coming. A 32-year-old fitness trainer at my gym. Confident. Charming. The type of man who carries an entire room with just his presence. I did not know that one harmless workout session would become the spark that threatened everything I had built. I still remember the first time Daniel looked at me with adoration. It was 12 years ago on a warm summer afternoon when we bumped into each other at a coffee shop. He dropped his iced latte, and I dropped my phone, and somehow it felt like a sign. Daniel loved me loudly. He loved me gently. He loved me completely. I never imagined I would be the one to hurt him. Life has a strange way of testing even the most solid foundations. After the birth of our daughter, things shifted. Not dramatically, but slowly, like a gradual shadow creeping over sunlight. Daniel became busier with work, taking late-night calls, traveling often, doing everything he could to provide. I knew he was doing it for us, but loneliness has a very persuasive voice. I started going to the gym to clear my mind, to do something for myself. I did not go looking for attention. I did not go looking for trouble. The trouble found me. Chase noticed me on my third day at the gym. I was struggling with a cable machine when he walked over and asked if I needed help. His voice was smooth, confident, and his smile felt like a direct hit to every insecure part of me. "Your posture is off," he said. "Let me show you." He stepped behind me and adjusted my shoulders with warm, steady hands. I felt a sharp jolt in my stomach. A feeling I had no business entertaining. A feeling I had been starved of without realizing it. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself it was only a workout. But deep inside, I felt a door opening. A dangerous one. Chase started paying more attention to me. Compliments slipped into conversations. He noticed details Daniel had stopped noticing. My new hairstyle. My new leggings. My progress. My effort. He called me strong. Beautiful. Focused. At home, Daniel was loving, but exhausted. He did not see the changes in me, not because he did not care, but because he trusted me so deeply that suspicion was never part of his nature. One evening, I stood in our kitchen watching him wash dishes. His shoulders were tense, and he looked worn out. I wanted to talk to him. I wanted to ask for more attention, more connection, more us. Instead, I swallowed it. I told myself that Daniel had too much on his plate already. And the distance widened. It was a Tuesday evening. The gym was almost empty. Chase asked if I wanted to stay for a private training session since I looked stressed. I knew I should have said no. I knew I should have walked out. But something in me craved the attention. The validation. The escape. The studio lights were set to a low, warm glow. Music played softly. The air was cool, but my skin felt warm with anticipation. Chase stood behind me as we worked on strength training, his hands guiding mine, his breath close, too close. My heartbeat pounded harder than the music. Then I turned around. Our eyes locked. There was no confusion, no misunderstanding. We both knew what we were doing. My guilt screamed, but my body betrayed me. When I finally crossed the line, I felt the weight of my vows collapsing. I felt the truth whispering that I was crossing into a place I would never be able to erase. It was raw. It was reckless. It was wrong. And when it was over, I stared at myself in the mirror. I saw a stranger. A woman who let loneliness become temptation. A woman who let temptation become betrayal. Driving home felt like a slow descent into a nightmare. My hands shook on the steering wheel. My throat felt tight. I rehearsed lies in my mind because I knew I could not tell the truth. Not tonight. Not ever, I thought. When I walked into the house, Daniel was sitting on the couch with our daughter asleep on his chest. The lamp beside him glowed softly, lighting the tenderness in his eyes when he looked up at me. "You are home earlier than I expected," he said with a smile. The smile stabbed me. His innocence stabbed me. I felt my heart crack under the weight of guilt. I walked over, kissed his forehead, and forced a smile. My hands trembled as I brushed our daughter's hair. "How was your workout?" he asked. My breath caught. My mind raced. Then I spoke the lie that would haunt me. "It was good. Just a normal day." Daniel chuckled softly and kissed my hand. "I am glad you are taking care of yourself." Those words felt like a punishment wrapped in kindness. Later that night, when Daniel reached for me in bed with gentle affection, I froze without meaning to. His hand paused on my waist. He looked at me with confusion, not accusation, not suspicion, only concern. "Are you all right?" he asked softly. I forced a nod and leaned into him, trying to erase the guilt with closeness, but nothing erased anything. The truth throbbed inside me like a bruise. Daniel kissed my forehead again. And that was when the first trace of doubt flickered in his eyes. Not because he suspected betrayal, but because he felt me slipping away. I woke up the morning after my betrayal with a heaviness in my chest that refused to leave. It felt like I had swallowed a stone. A cold, sharp, punishing stone. Daniel slept peacefully beside me, unaware that the woman he trusted more than anyone had already started lying before the sun even rose. When he reached for me that morning, his touch was warm and familiar, but my body reacted with a jolt. Not because I no longer loved him, but because I felt unworthy of the love he gave so sincerely. I pulled away gently, pretending to stretch, pretending to adjust my pillow. Daniel did not question it, but I saw something shift in his eyes. Just a flicker. The kind of flicker that shows a man feels something, even if he cannot put a name to it yet. Guilt makes you hypersensitive. Every movement, every smile, every question feels like an accusation, even when no one is accusing you. That day at work, I sat at my desk staring at spreadsheets that refused to make sense. My mind replayed the moment in the gym like a movie stuck on loop. The dim light. The adrenaline. Chase's breath on my neck. The look in my own eyes afterward, calling me a woman I never imagined I could be. I kept checking my phone, terrified it would vibrate with a message from him. When it finally did, my stomach turned. "Last night was unforgettable." That was all he wrote. I locked my phone immediately and shoved it in my purse as if distance could undo the damage. I wanted to ignore him. I wanted to forget. But guilt and desire often fight ugly battles inside the human heart, and I was losing both sides. When I got home from work, Daniel had already prepared dinner. He stood in the kitchen wearing a navy apron our daughter painted for him in preschool. Seeing him like that, gentle, simple, devoted, felt like a knife twisting deeper into my ribs. "You look tired," he said while handing me a plate. I had a long day, I replied, avoiding his eyes. He watched me for a moment longer than usual. Daniel was never a suspicious man. But he was attentive. Too attentive at this particular moment. I felt naked under his gaze. After dinner, he sat beside me on the couch while our daughter played with her dolls. He wrapped an arm around me, his thumb brushing my shoulder softly. "Have you been feeling distant?" he asked carefully. "No," I forced out. "I am just stressed." It was the second lie of the day. It tasted as bitter as the first. Daniel accepted my answer with a slow nod, but the flicker in his eyes grew brighter. Concern? Confusion? Pain? I could not tell yet. But something inside him had become alert. I thought avoiding Chase would make the guilt easier. I was wrong. The next day at the gym, I tried to sneak to the treadmills, hoping he would not notice me. But Chase always noticed me. He walked over with that same confident stride, that same smirk that once stroked my starving ego. "We need to talk," he whispered, stepping too close. "No," I replied, stepping back. "We made a mistake. It cannot happen again." He studied my face with narrowed eyes. "You are acting like you did not want it." His words cut deep because I hated the truth in them. "I am married, Chase," I reminded him. He leaned in, lowering his voice even further. "And you were not thinking about marriage when you were with me. Do not pretend now." Heat rushed up my neck, shame, anger, fear all tangled together. I walked away from him, but he grabbed my wrist gently, just enough to make me stop. "We cannot pretend this did not happen," he said. I did not answer. I just pulled away and walked to the locker room with trembling hands. That evening, Daniel asked a question that struck me with a frightening clarity. "Emily, is there something you want to tell me?" My heart dropped. "Why do you ask? You seem different. You jump when your phone vibrates. You avoid my eyes. You pull away in bed. I just want to understand." His voice was soft. Too soft. The softness of a man bracing for an answer he fears but needs. "There is nothing wrong," I lied for the third time. Daniel nodded, but I saw the pain beneath his calm expression. He walked away slowly, not angry, but wounded. His silence that night was louder than any confrontation. 2 days later, Chase sent another message. "You cannot just shut me out." I ignored it. Then another. "We need to talk." Then the message that froze me entirely. "If your husband finds out from someone else, it will be worse." I stared at the screen, cold panic spreading through my entire body. He would not. He would not cross that line. Or would he? My hand shook as I deleted the messages, terrified Daniel would see them. Terrified Chase would not let go. Terrified everything was about to explode. Fear replaced guilt. It wrapped around my throat. On a Friday evening, Daniel said he wanted to take me on a small date night. Something simple. Something just for us. He wanted to reconnect. He wanted to save something he did not even know was shattered. I smiled and agreed, but inside my heart throbbed with dread. I did not deserve his kindness. I did not deserve the effort. While I showered, Daniel went to grab my phone from the nightstand to charge it for me because it was low. A small, innocent gesture. A gesture he had done 100 times before. A gesture that changed everything. I stepped out of the shower to find Daniel sitting at the end of the bed, my phone in his hand. His breathing was unsteady. His eyes were red, glassy, shaking. My entire body went cold. "Emily," he said, his voice hollow, "who is Chase?" I froze. My stomach twisted into a knot so tight I could barely breathe. "I opened your phone to plug it in, and your messages popped up." His voice cracked. I saw enough. Time stopped. He looked at me with a heartbreak so raw, so soul-deep, that it felt like the air in the room disappeared. "Tell me it is not what I think," he whispered. But it was. It was exactly what he thought. My knees weakened. My throat closed. He already knew. My silence told him everything. Daniel stood up slowly, as if the weight of the truth made movement painful. Tears fell silently down his face. "You were my world," he said. "I trusted you with everything." I reached for him, but he stepped back, his expression shattered. "Do not touch me," he said softly. Not angrily. Just broken. And then he walked out of the room. Out of the house. Out of the life he thought was real. His footsteps down the hallway were the sound of my marriage collapsing. The house felt empty in a way I had never imagined possible. Daniel had left after that night, the soft click of the front door echoing in every corner of my heart. I sat on the couch, staring at the floor, my mind spinning with every possible way to undo what I had done. But nothing could erase the truth. I had shattered the man I loved, the family I had promised to protect, and the life we had built together. I felt hollow. Guilt clawed at every thought, every breath. I could not look at our daughter without a pang of shame. She had no idea what was happening, but I could feel the tension in the air, the silent absence of her father. She asked about him gently, with the innocence only a child could carry. And I lied. "He will be back soon, sweetheart," I told her, hoping the lie would feel like a bomb. I knew that before I could begin to heal, I had to end things with Chase completely. I could no longer live in the shadow of my betrayal. I met him at the gym one evening, the place that had become a symbol of my weakness. "Emily, you cannot just walk away," he said, his tone dangerously calm. "I know what we have." "No, Chase," I said, my voice trembling but firm. "What we had was a mistake. I will not let you destroy what I have left. I am married. I have a family. And I am going to fix this, no matter how painful it is." His expression darkened. "And what if Daniel never forgives you?" I swallowed hard. "Then I will have tried. But I will not let you continue to manipulate me, or to manipulate our lives. We are finished." He stared at me for a long moment, then walked away without another word. Relief and fear mingled inside me. Freedom, but heavy with the cost of what I had lost. The next day, I decided I could no longer wait. I had to face Daniel. I had to take full responsibility. I drove to his workplace, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. My mind raced with the words I would say, the apologies I would beg him to accept, the tears I could not contain. When he saw me, his face betrayed every emotion he had tried to hide: anger, betrayal, pain, and yet, beneath it all, something that made my heart ache, the love that had never truly died. "I know," I whispered, before he could speak. "I know what I did, and I am so sorry. I betrayed you, and I have no excuse. I have to make this right, even if it takes the rest of my life." Daniel looked at me for a long, heavy moment. "You broke me, Emily. You broke my heart." "I know," I said again, tears streaming down my face. "And I will spend every day trying to rebuild it. I do not expect it to be easy. I do not expect forgiveness to come quickly. But I am willing to do anything. Anything at all." Rebuilding trust was nothing short of brutal. Daniel and I began couples therapy, long, grueling sessions that unearthed every hidden fear, every suppressed pain. We had nights of arguments so fierce they left us both in tears, and nights of silence that felt louder than any words could be. I shared everything, every detail, every moment of my betrayal. I left nothing hidden. Every confession was a small knife, cutting the distance between us but also slowly exposing the raw truth. And Daniel listened. He listened even when it hurt him, even when the betrayal was like a flame licking at the edges of his soul. We had small victories too. A shared smile across the kitchen table. A gentle touch without suspicion. A laugh at a silly joke. Every tiny gesture became a brick in the fragile wall we were rebuilding together. One evening, months after that night, Daniel took my hand in his. "I do not know if I will ever forget, Emily. But I know I still love you. And I know that we can move forward, if you are willing to be honest, always. I could barely speak. The words were stuck in my throat. I will, Daniel. I swear. I will never betray you again. I will be the wife you deserve, the woman you married, even if it takes my entire life to become her. He pulled me close, and I let myself cry in his arms. It was not the same as before. Trust had been broken, but love, real love, had survived. That night, I realized that redemption is not a gift, it is a journey. A painstaking, exhausting journey, but one that is worth every tear, every sleepless night, every painful confession. Time became our ally. We revisited old memories, recreated small routines, and slowly reconnected in ways we had forgotten in the midst of daily life. Daniel's patience became a lesson in love, and my remorse became the driving force behind our renewed bond. I spent hours reflecting on the woman I had become and the mistakes I had made. I learned that desire can blind, that loneliness can mislead, but that accountability, honesty, and relentless effort can mend even the most fragile of hearts. One Sunday afternoon, as Daniel and I walked hand in hand through our neighborhood park, I watched him play with our daughter, his laughter ringing pure and joyful. I felt my own heart expand with gratitude, with a fierce determination to never betray that trust again. "Thank you," I whispered quietly to him. "For what?" he asked, smiling without looking at me. "For not giving up on us," I said. He looked at me then, fully seeing me for the first time in months. "We are stronger than we know," he said softly. And I believed him. Betrayal is a wound that cuts deep. Love is a choice that must be nurtured, protected, and sometimes fought for against your own weaknesses. I broke my vows, and I watched Daniel's heart break, but I also learned that true love can survive the darkest moments if both people are willing to fight for it. We are not perfect. We are flawed, human, and sometimes dangerously fragile. But love, when tempered by forgiveness and honesty, has a power that is almost divine. I do not expect everyone to understand what happened between Daniel and me. Some may judge. Some may pity. Some may never forgive. But I am here to tell my story, raw and unfiltered, because it is a testament to the strength of love and the necessity of accountability. I broke my vows, and I watched his heart break. But love refused to die. And that is the story I will carry with me forever.